We're learning right now that 29 American citizens have been killed. 15 U.S. citizens still unaccounted for, and this is all according to the State Department. We've also just learned that U.S. intelligence agencies reported a heightened risk of violence from Hamas in the weeks before the militant group's attack on Israel. But it did not pick up detailed information about an imminent large-scale assault. Two sources familiar with the intelligence tell NBC News. Meanwhile, a humanitarian crisis in Gaza as hundreds of thousands of North Gaza residents are racing to evacuate to the south as the Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, warns of a major escalation, saying in a statement IDF forces, backed by an extensive logistical effort and by completing the reserve mobilization of hundreds of thousands of servicemen, are preparing to implement a wide range of offensive operative plans, which include, among other things, an integrated and coordinated attack from the air, sea, and land. Statement goes on to say IDF battalions and soldiers are deployed all over the country and are prepared to increase readiness for the next stages of the war, with an emphasis on a significant ground operation. This comes after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited with Israeli troops amassing along the Gaza border earlier today, where he told them, quote, "The next stage is coming." The situation is dire. According to our latest numbers, at least 1,300 people in Israel have been killed. In Gaza, at least 2,100 were killed. The United States is one of what the Israeli government says amounts to 48 countries with citizens murdered in the Hamas attack. And fears are growing that the war will expand further across the region. Tanks are amassing at the northern Israel border with Lebanon, where the Israel Defense Forces have attacked several targets affiliated with the Lebanon-based militant group Hezbollah. Now, the IDF accused Hezbollah of firing surface-to-air missiles against Israeli troops, all of which were intercepted by the IDF. Joining me now from northern Israel is NBC News foreign correspondent Josh Lederman. Josh, what are you hearing and seeing out there?
Well, Israel's military has been sending reinforcements to the northern border with Lebanon as they anticipate a potential second front opening there with Hezbollah. Today, I spent some time with some troops who were at a convoy, or a column, I should say, of Israeli battle tanks. There were amassing personnel carriers as well as other military equipment just about 2 miles from the border with Lebanon. And some of those troops said, look, they don't know if Hezbollah is going to go full bore into this war or not, but they vowed they would be ready if that does happen. And tonight we heard from Israel's military saying anyone who approaches that border between Lebanon and Israel should be warned that they might be killed. And so Israel clearly on high alert tonight. And I spoke with one of the soldiers who was preparing and doing maintenance on some of those tanks. His name is Harrison Schwartz. He's actually from the United States, had finished his military service in Israel, returned to Pennsylvania where he was in school, then got called back through the reserves to Israel very quickly. And he told me what it is like right now to be back here and how his family feels about him being in harm's way.
NBC's Josh Lederman.
They know I love this country, and my biggest regret would ever be is if, these guys went to war. If you were able to look around, these are all my friends, these are my family, these are the guys I served with when I was active duty. How could I sit at home and watch this on the news?
Other than those troops, northern Israel, for the most part, is a ghost town right now. Many of the villagers and residents have voluntarily evacuated further south where they feel it is safer. We were in Kiryat Shmona, the most northern town in Israel today, and it was basically empty. There are not a whole lot of people open. Restaurants are closed. You can get the sense here that even though people who live here are pretty battle-hardened, a lot of them remember the last war with Hezbollah nearly 20 years ago. But given the exchanges of fire that we've seen over the last several days, they're anticipating this could be much worse. In fact, while we were with those troops today, we could hear the small arms fire in the distance. You could see the smoke from mortars being fired from Lebanon into Israel. The military here responding with shelling. And Israel's military also saying that there was a terror cell trying to infiltrate Israel today from Lebanon. Israel saying that its drone was able to target that terror cell and kill several of its members. So you can understand why tensions are really high right now all along Israel's northern border with Lebanon.